vintage Schedule 40 gray PVC fittings. Let's start with this Plasti T fitting. This T fitting would connect two 2-inch pipes to an 1.5-inch threaded pipe. It is most likely from the 60s because it has the older Plasti logo that got replaced in 1965. This fitting had to have been made after 1959 because this is Pompano Beach, Florida, and before 1959 these fittings were made in New York. You can see each hub is marked with a size, and they put NSF on this fitting the older way. If this fitting were newer, NSF would be in capital letters. You can see it says Schedule 40, and some companies still make Schedule 40 gray PVC, but it's not too common. Plast makes Schedule 40 gray drain fittings, and Spears makes Schedule 40 gray pressure fittings. They're usually used up in Canada. The other side of this fitting has no information. You can see these two hubs would be glue connections, and the way fittings were glued back then is a little bit different than it is now. Back then, the glue came in a paint can type can that would have required a bristle brush to apply glue to the inside of the hub and the outside of the fitting. At some point in the maybe the 60s, but probably more the 70s, they started using primer, and that primer came in a bottle that you'd squeeze out onto a rag, and you'd brush the primer into the fitting and the outside of the pipe. Then in the later 80s, they started using normal glue daubers that would go around in the hub and apply glue. Now for this connection, it would use Teflon tape pipe dope or wicking. Back in the 60s, wicking was still a bit common. And this fitting would be very helpful for sprinkler systems and irrigation. You could put a bunch of these throughout the main line, and then you could come off of it with 1.5-inch poly pipe by using a male adapter that you could clamp your poly pipe onto with 1 or 2 hose clamps. And then that poly pipe could go to a few sprinklers that would water the yard. The next fitting is a 2-inch 90. It would connect two 2-inch pipes at a 90-degree angle. You can see these are the hubs where the pipe would go into. Schedule 40, NSF. This fitting has NSF the older way, and all the fittings I'm reviewing in this video have NSF that way. You can see there's a newer Plasti logo. Still was made in Florida, 2-inch iron pipe size. Here's the inside, and this is the outside. The next fitting is a Plasti bushing, 2.5-inch by 2-inch. So you would glue this into a 2.5-inch fitting, and then a 2-inch pipe or street fitting would glue into it like that. And you can see there's the older Plasti P NSF, 2.5-inch iron pipe size, and I'm not sure what the thickness is. It could be Schedule 80 or it could be Schedule 40. Now the way bushings work, it wouldn't matter the thickness because the thickness would be the same because you're going from the same size pipes. If this were Schedule 80, a Schedule 40 bushing would be the same thickness. The next fitting is a threaded street 90, 1-inch. So this would screw onto a 1-inch nipple, and then this would screw into a 1-inch female fitting. You can see there's the newer Plasti P used after 65, 1-inch iron pipe size, Schedule 40, NSF. There's the inside. It actually looks pretty clean looking. And the last fitting I'm reviewing in this video, made by Plasti, is this one here. Has the older Plasti logo, Schedule 40, NSF, PVC, iron pipe size. This is 1-inch threads, and this is 2-inch male glue. So you'd slide this into a 2-inch fitting, and then you'd screw it onto a 1-inch pipe or street fitting. Now the way this bushing is shaped is kind of weird. Now, when you look at a normal bushing, the smaller hub is recessed, but this one it's stretched out, and I'm not sure why that is. I don't see any advantage to it being stretched out. Now let's take a look at some Sloan and GSR fittings. This is a Sloan fitting. Now, R&G Sloan marked their fittings with Sloan till around 1969. After 1969, they marked them with GSR. This one is marked as Sloan, so it's probably made before 1969. Sloan Manufacturing, Sun Valley, California, PVC. 2-inch iron pipe size, Schedule 40, NSF. And this is just a 2-inch cap. So you could cap off a 2-inch pipe or street fitting. Now let's take a look at some Sloan reducing bushings. Now the reason why I'm bringing out two is because one says Sloan and one says GSR. Now this one is the one that is marked with GSR, Sun Valley, California. I think that's NSF, PVC, Schedule 40, and this goes from 1.25 to 2-inch, and it fits kind of tight in the 2-inch. The other one that's marked as Sloan is the exact same, except it just has Sloan on it. The next GSR fitting is this one right here. You can see it says GSR, Sun Valley, California. 1.25 by 1 inch, Schedule 40 PVC, NSF. So this would glue into an 1.25 hub, and then you'd screw an 1.5 pipe into it like that, and that is a proper connection. Now let's take a look at a few thermoplastics fittings, starting with this cap. This is a 2-inch cap, so you would cap off a 2-inch pipe. You can see there's this Thermoplastics logo, Schedule 40, NSF. The way they put NSF on this fitting looks a little bit weird, but it looks a lot like the older NSF, PVC. There's the inside, and that's the head of an Allen bolt. When they're bolting the bolts together, the bolt head would show up in the plastic backwards. The last fitting is this Thermoplastics 1.5 coupling. You'd glue 2 1.5 pipes in here. If you're running long runs and you have one long pipe and you need to continue on, this would be very helpful. You can see NSF. There are these 4 little dots. I see those all the time on older fittings. I don't really know what those mean. 1.5, Schedule 40, PVC, and then there's a little Thermoplastics logo.